My current job is changed recently. About a year and a half ago, I became chair of psychiatry. Up until then, I was just a full-time researcher for a few decades. So my current job involves a lot of overseeing the tripartite mission of the department, which is education, clinical services, and research, in addition to overseeing DEI efforts. However, I continue to lead my lab, which is a kind of a multi-PI type of lab where we do translational multimodal imaging of PET imaging, as well as functional MRI and MRS, etc., that tend to converge in the same patients to try to address one question about mental illness. One of the most enjoyable aspects, I must say, is bringing people together around maybe one idea, one project, one theme, and going in depth into that, theme and studying it and trying to think about all the components and how it could be addressed and who are the people that can address each piece of the component. So I like to build big projects. One of my maybe most favorite thing was when I was leading a Conti Center, was like basic scientists, clinical scientists, imagers, and I tend to replicate this in a lot of the projects I do, just like to be multifaceted and involving many different types of expertises. And I feel that people learn a lot from having this kind of interaction. I became interested in psychiatry when I was in high school. That's like really strange, but so I went to medical school to become a psychiatrist. And then medical school, where I grew up in Beirut in Lebanon, is right after high school. So it basically combines college and medical school together and 7 years training. I was interested in hearing people's stories. I thought the most fascinating thing is to be able to sit down with someone and say, what's going on, or what are you feeling like, what is disturbing you? And the stories of people were like the most interesting, fascinating for me to listen to. But then that kind of became a bit more specialized as I became more and more interested in how do people become psychotic, and how is it that they can just like one day start hearing voices. And that just pretty much guided my career. I think psychiatry has always been a really great field to be in, but it's become even more critical. I mean, clinically, there are so many unmet needs. We have so little workforce compared to the demands. This is, mental health crisis in general, and very few trained healthcare workers. So clinically, it's a great area to go into because we need people to be in this field. But also research-wise, there are so many tools now, neuroscience tools, to address the questions, the big questions about the brain. How does it work? And what goes wrong in each one of those mental illnesses? So it's the most exciting place to be at this point, to work on the most exciting organ in the body, which is the brain. First, work hard. I think, working hard, persisting, not giving up, and that's across all, types of activities that you have to do. That's essential. That's critical. That's how they're going to build expertise and skills that's going to make them a valuable member of the scientific body that we need. Second, read a lot, read as much as you can. I think without being informed by the prior work done, you can't really ask the critical questions. Make friends and avoid making enemies. But having a network of people is kind of related to having opportunities. So that's the other third tip I would give to a young beginner in the field. They're like, two levels of advice. I think that the first one is for more senior female colleagues. And the piece here I want to say is that be generous to your younger colleagues. Having been in the field, I feel that sometimes women are not as nurturing of other women in the field as they could be. I feel like I've had, more generous treatment from some more senior men in the field. And that's important for us to keep in mind, to be kind and generous and welcoming of each other. And for female younger colleagues is to seek those opportunities. Because, you know, you have to do all the work you need to do, you have to persist, you have to be good at what you're doing, but sometimes you need a bit of a chance to maybe to be more visible, or to have a bigger role, or a role in a society that just kind of sets you on the stage and then allows you to go on to bigger roles. And that's how it goes. You know, you do your work in your lab, but then to become known, you have to be able to emerge outside of your lab and outside of your institution and play a role that's kind of a bigger, and to become known nationally and internationally, you need those kind of breakthroughs. Going to conferences is critical. Not being afraid to introduce yourself, go up to someone, ask questions, go to poster, having those informal discussions. Ask your mentor to introduce you to other people in the field. Sometimes when you're in a conference, you're with someone else from your institution. Use that opportunity and stay in touch with those people. Don't be afraid to email someone about their published work that you read that you're excited about. So, you know, people love these interactions. That's why we're in this field. SOEP has always been a great conference scientifically, very interesting to attend, to learn, to meet other people, and, you know, give you stage for your own work. But for me in particular, I've been now with the journal as the deputy editor for imaging for more than a decade. So it's one of my favorite journals. I love publishing in it. I love handling the manuscripts. I feel we have such great submissions, we have high standards, and so it's always kept me engaged intellectually. I like the role I've played in kind of shaping how these papers should be, what are the standards and the kind of qualities that we require in our manuscripts to be published in the journal. So it's allowed me at the same time to, you know, to be part of the community, but also to have an impact on the community, especially within my area. I think there is obviously the challenge of implicit bias that I think we all have to deal with in one way or the other for different reasons. And I wouldn't say that this hasn't been part of my trajectory. It hasn't been a defining part, but it's something that we all have to deal with. The other challenge is to be able to be given opportunities where, you know, it's kind of, you know, in a way you can try to create those, but you really depend also on others to give you these opportunities. As a leader, you have an opportunity to have a bigger impact in many areas. It's kind of a larger impact that you could have doing just your own work within your lab. And the impact can be at multiple levels. You know, you can help trainees, you can kind of orient the department in one direction or another. You can develop new areas of research, new areas of clinical work. And you can have also an impact on the culture of the department. There's just so many ways that you can have an impact that is bigger than what you could do if you're not the leader. You have to be able to give a small opportunity to demonstrate that you are leadership material to get the next larger opportunity. And if you succeed at that, you get the next one. And I think that this trajectory for women is so much slower than for men. But I think that the good news is that this is changing. I think for people from my generation, it was very slow, but I think for the younger people in the field, the hope is that this is going to be much more accelerated. So it's a good time to be in this field.